everybody, I'm Leo, logically, and welcome to the very first episode of Character Design Day. Well, I wanted to start off the year with a different video, and I wanted to focus a little bit more on showing some of the projects that I have been working on. And this one is this dragon kind of alchemist that I wanted to make. And I'm going to show you the process from concept to final version. I'm going to show you some of the sculpting. I'm going to show retopology, then texturing, rigging at the end, because I needed to pose the character for some screenshots, so I needed to rig it. Oh, and don't get me wrong, I'm by no means a master. I'm not here to teach you anything, I'm just here to share my process. And hopefully you will be able to see the pitfalls that I fell in, and you will be able to, not commit the same mistakes that I have committed. I think this is a good mechanic for, videos going forward on the channel. I want to show you some of the projects in a more personal way. And this, I think, is just the best way that I can possibly think of, where, I walk you through the entire process. So, for those of you that don't know, character design is a very important piece of just, the media in the entertainment industry as a whole. For instance, what do you think that makes Palpatine such an evil character when you look at him? If you take just a glance at it, if you show him to your grandma, she's going to see him and she's going to think, oh, that's an evil character, right? I know that it's something very trivial and easy when you think about it, but most of the time is stuff that if you were to try and do it yourself, it would be kind of hard. I used for reference a lot of characters that are heroes, right? I used for reference Spyro, and as you can see here on my screen right now, I used this, reimagined Spyro character. And my idea was for my character to be this cartoonishly evil character, I wanted something out of, the villain from Smurfs. And in the end, my character didn't quite look like a villain. I remember that a friend told me that he looked like he was going to be like someone that helps the hero, but that was not my intention at all. And I was just looking for wrong references in the concept phase. And sure, my character didn't even look much like a cartoon character by the end of it. But the idea is there, the concept was there. I just got some wrong references for concept. Oh, and I know you have noticed, and yes, I actually tried drawing this character right here. Yeah, I know it sucks. Yeah. So let's get to sculpting. Okay, so here we have one of the first ever versions of the character. You can already see that I started doing, his clothing. You can already see here that the face is very skinny. I tried going for that evil skinny character. I think that was the only good step that I took in terms of making my character look evil. Of course, that I also tried making his face all burnt, and I think that was also a good step. But I think his colors, the colors on his body also didn't quite help making him look like a bad character. So with this file, I already have pretty much all of the base structure there before, adding a lot of the detailing. But here you can have a look that this feet look quite acceptable. I really like that. I used some references for feet. I think I have it here. This one, I really love this reference, because it shows all of the angles, all of the main shapes for it, and then a little bit on how you can detail it. With all of that in consideration, have a look at the hands. Yeah, they look atrocious, I know. They don't have a direction, they don't have a main focus. You actually, when you see this, all that I can see when I look at this is a mess. You can definitely not see where the bones, are leading. You don't see the landmarks that you would need on a hand. So fast forward later, I started doing hands again from scratch. I redid all of the hands, and you can definitely see some improvements where I remade the hands to look a lot more like this. I wanted to get the general feeling that I had when doing the feet. I wanted to have something that looked a lot more like a dinosaur. Okay, fast forward a little bit and you can see a little time lapse, just small time lapse of me doing some of the detailing for the character and some of the final touches, if you will, of the sculpt. And then I proceeded to go over to Blender, where I did the retopology. Now, because this is the first video on this series, I'm going to explain to you what retopology is, and I'm going to show you some of the retopologized mesh afterwards. And then, in the next videos, I'm just going to show you a little time-lapse of me just retopologizing everything really quick, because it's something that is not really... we can't talk much about retopology, you know, it's very simple, but it is very crucial if you want to animate your character, and just by, you know, posing the character is also very important. So retopology is when you have a very high polygon mesh and you want to get all of the information out of the mesh and you want to place it into a lower polygon mesh. Because as you would know, something like this Bowser right here, he has a lot of faces to make all of his little detail, you know. You can see like he has a lot of smaller details, such as some creases or all of these little things on his shell, you know. So to make all of this detailing, you would need a lot of faces in an object, you know. Imagine that a cube has 4 faces. Now imagine the amount of faces you would need for something like this. And the more faces you have, the better detailed your model can be. The problem with that is that if you were to animate this model and if you were to do anything with this model, if you were to place this model in a game, it just would not work. What you do then is that you get the higher polygon count and you transform that into a texture and you apply it into the lower polygon count. And in the end, you get a model that looks just as good and is very light. So I love retopology for that, but retopology is very boring. So as much as retopology is this amazing, groundbreaking thing, we're going to stop talking about it right now because I'm going over to painting and Substance Painter, which is an amazing piece of software that I absolutely love. I haven't had the opportunity of talking about it until now, but I love it. It's a program that is very easy to use. This was my first ever time using Substance and I love it to pieces, you know. I was just watching a half an hour flipped normals YouTube video about it, and I really recommend you watching that channel because they teach you a lot of character design in 3D and painting, everything related to making characters in 3D. They teach you there. And with just that half an hour video, I was able to, you know, get a grip into what Substance is. Of course, I still have tons and tons of things to learn about it, but I feel like I did an acceptable job when you see the bags and stuff like that. Of course, that you should not just, you know, take the base material, which, you know, people call it like smart materials. You shouldn't take one of those and roll with it. You should use one of those as a base for creating your actual material. That's what I think you should be doing. And right now, I'm going to, you know, I'm showing you some clip of me making my bags. And you can see there that there is a lot of different layers that makes this object work. You have the base layer, which is the smart material that I used. Then I started adding another layers on top of that. One of the main challenges for me was painting the actual character, you know. I remember that I was just painting all of his different pieces and all of his adornments, and I wasn't actually painting the character because I was so scared of not being able to do it. And then I learned a very important lesson, I think, for me, you know, where the more work you add in the sculpt, the easier it is for you to paint it using Substance. Because Substance will get the information from the texture that you baked, called the normal, and it will help you out a lot when you want to paint your character. So my favorite part in this whole model is the horns, because I just added some, you know, speckles with alphas in my sculpt, and it ended up looking quite acceptable. I kind of like it. Oh, and also I was going to explain to you why my model doesn't look quite cartoonish. I know it doesn't look realistic as well. I'm going for a in-between, I think. It's just because after I finished the model, I just felt it screaming out for details. I felt like my model was actually asking me to put some form of scales on it, because it just felt like something was missing. I don't know if, the proportions of my character looked a little bit too normal and not that crazy, but in the end I actually felt like my model would not be complete without scales. So then after adding the scales, I actually felt like I had to add some of these main hoofs, kind of hoofs, I don't know the actual name for it, but I felt like I had to add this harder skin. And after adding the harder skin, I started adding some alphas in detail for it. Then I started adding some speckles in the horns, and one thing led to another, and in the end I had added a lot of different smaller detail for the model. And now I'm going to share with you one of the biggest pitfalls that I fell, and one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give you right now. Do not use 4K textures for everything. This will destroy your computer. You don't need that. You don't need 4K for everything. If you're going to do like a small bolt in your character, maybe on an iron part, you don't need 4K. You can just use like 480p. You won't notice a difference. And for this character, I haven't went above 2K. I had to go back and re-import all of the textures into Blender as 2K or 1080p textures, just because I wasn't able to render at 4K. I know it's something very obvious that only a moron would not understand, but I actually thought that it wouldn't make that big deal, and in the end I lost a full day of work for it. Okay, I think this is the end of our first video of the year. I hope that you liked seeing this process, and I would really appreciate some feedback in the comments. Tell me what you think about it, and I have some exciting new ideas of videos that I want to try out. And of course, I know that if you are a subscriber to the channel, you are probably wondering where Reading in the Dark went, and I have some new stuff to show you. I'm going to show you just 2 screenshots on the screen right now. The next devlog is going to be my new priority going forward, so don't worry. I think in about 2 weeks I can get it done and it's going to be posted, and then I can get back to fully concentrating on Reading in the Dark. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. And I hope you have a fantastic evening. I'm Leo, signing off.